meditation, the first type, the stabilizing type, can you do that throughout the day? Can you do stabilizing meditation throughout the day? I guess you can, sure. When you're in a Tel Aviv traffic jam. If you're lucky, it doesn't move. You're stuck for 5 minutes in the same place. Just watch your breath. Or the sensation of sitting there, or the sensation of everyone else honking their horns. If anyone does that. In India, everyone honks their horn. Even there's no one on the street, you just honk it anyway. Someone may come. Okay, so stabilizing meditation you can do. So just be mindful. So it doesn't have to be the breathing. Of course you can focus on the breath, but you could also just focus on your own mind. No rush. Take your time. You can focus on your own mind, you can focus on sensations in the body. So you can actually also do that in a very busy life, while you're very busy. So there's so many opportunities to meditate. And then analytical meditation, of course you can do at all times. You just need to remember to remember. To remember to analyze, to remember to... but then there's another way of classifying meditation, which you can talk about those first two, stabilizing and analytical meditation, and then, sometimes people say analytical meditation can be again subdivided, but I think both can be subdivided in a different way, or meditation in general. Here they use a very nice vocabulary. This is not a literal translation of the Tibetan word, but it works nicely. They speak about subjective and objective meditation. It's actually a really nice word. In Tibetan, it means, means meditation, where the meditation is taken as the object, or meditation where you arise as the meditation. It doesn't really make that sense, so I think objective and subjective is better. For example, meditating on compassion. There's a subjective meditation on compassion and there's an objective meditation. So to use the Tibetan word, you can take meditation as your object of a mind, or the mind can arise as compassion. Does that make sense? So in both ways you can meditate on compassion. So when would you take compassion as your object?
When you want to cultivate it.
Pardon?
When you want to cultivate it.
When you want to cultivate it, what did you say?
When it doesn't arise naturally.
When it doesn't arise naturally, exactly, you may go, what are the benefits of compassion? So you start thinking about compassion itself, right? You reflect on compassion. What is compassion? What is the definition? So initially, when you start meditating on compassion, for example, you need to take it as your object. You would take it as your object and think, what is compassion? How is it defined? Do I have compassion sometimes? What is the object of my compassion? Is it only one person? Is it many people? Etc. And then you want to make your consciousness arise as compassion. So you generate the wish, may sentient beings be happy from may sentient beings be free from suffering. That's compassion. So when you have the wish for others to be free from suffering, by definition, you have compassion. So that mind would be called a loving attitude. That wish. So the definition of compassion is a loving attitude or a caring attitude that wants others to be free from suffering. Okay, that's compassion. So the moment you think, oh, may that person be free from problems, may they be free from this misery, this difficulty, etc., then you can say, by definition, your awareness now is compassion. So you can make those awarenesses arise and allow them to be there. Because when you allow them to be there, you familiarize with them. Next time, it's that much easier to make them arise again. Okay? Or another example would be, for example, as an antidote. So as an antidote to, I guess, selfishness, or an antidote towards hatred, you generate compassion for that person. Okay? So, for example, if someone harms you, for example, well, then it's to think, well, what are the causes and conditions that gave rise to that person doing what they do? Okay? It's a very helpful technique because there are causes and conditions that give rise to whatever they did. And if I had experienced the same causes and conditions, I would possibly do the same. Right? They were raised in a certain background, in a certain situation, this and this happened to them, da 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 da. If you understand the causes and conditions, it's a little bit like, you know, when you hear about a serial killer, and you go, how horrible, how terrible, and this dislike, this deep hatred towards that person arises. And then you read their life story. You read how they were abused as children, how they were sexually, raped, possibly sexually abused. They were beaten up by a violent father. The mother was an alcoholic. They lived in a kind of ghetto, or I don't know, in some horrible slum area where there were gangs and you know, they didn't get to go to school because they were beaten up so bad. I mean, whatever. You know, and then since they were little, they saw killing and they become a serial killer. So when we understand that hard feeling of dislike slowly starts dissolving, there's compassion possibly, like a sense, oh my God, I would have done the same thing. If I were them, how do I know I wouldn't do this? Seriously, I have no guarantee. If I had been born in this kind of environment, who knows, maybe I'd be a serial killer nowadays. Who knows? They were born with a tendency, a liking to kill, possibly, and then the environment, it kind of triggered that. So understanding the causes and conditions may trigger compassion, right? So you reflect on the life of such a person, you reflect on the causes and conditions, and then you generate compassion for them. But please be aware, because this question always arises, I might as well answer it before it's asked. What does that mean? You have compassion with the serial killer? Do you let him go? Do you let him be, do his thing? No, no, no. Compassion is an internal state. You still want to punish this person. You still want to use harsh means possibly to understand them, what they're doing is wrong, and to make them stop from harming him or herself and other people. So it's totally permissible to use harsh means, but motivated by care for this person, for everyone else, and still use harsh means. I'm thinking of like parents. The best example is mothers. You know, mothers love. I mean, if anyone still loved that serial killer, if he has parents who are, you know, responsible, it's probably still his mom and his dad. Let's say that mom and dad are not like totally. I mean, I don't know whether you heard the story of these. Oh, yeah, I'm sure you did, about the killing at Columbia High School many years ago, when these two boys came into the high school and killed so many other people. I mean, their parents, they still loved them the same way. I mean, they lost their son, and I mean, well, they probably felt terrible having raised such a person, and of course they made lots of mistakes. I'm sure they did, but still, God, they loved their son. So, like, when you hear about these serial killers, oftentimes in the courtroom, the only person on their side is their mom and their dad. They still love them. So they still have love, and they, you know, there's still something lovable about that person, I'm sure. So the point is that even though there's love towards even someone like a serial killer, parents would still punish their children. You know, when you have children yourself, then you have love, and when they misbehave, you're not going to say, "Oh, I love you, do whatever you want." You know, that's silly. So you be strict and like, but inside it's out of love. So that's the attitude here. So then you first think about what is compassion, what is it, or how is it good, and then you generate it yourself. Or when you take, for example, rejoicing, another very good antidote towards jealousy, envy and jealousy, right? In the 21st century, we live in a very competitive society, and competitiveness, if it's just going, you know, I want the same as my neighbor, I'm going to work harder, that's okay. I want the same as him and I work harder. That's all right. That's acceptable, I believe. But if it's like, I don't want him to have that. I hope this car is going to get destroyed. I want the beer. You know, like, I'm maybe exaggerating here a little bit, but we all know the feeling of jealousy. It's the 21st century affliction, I would say. It's actually not cited as a main affliction, but I think it's now a main affliction. In the 21st century, it's much more of an issue, and I know this because I was trained with Tibetan classmates. My classmates were all Tibetan, and they were so not competitive. They were so not jealous. I mean, jealousy, it was like maybe you could see a moment of like, and then am I like, oh, how lovely for him. That's so good. I'm so glad. So they really sincerely rejoiced in others' success. So actually we're much happier people. Because not only do you rejoice in your own success, you rejoice in everyone else's, you have much more fun. Because if it's not only your success, it's everyone else's, so much more fun. Oh, she's doing really, really well. I'm so glad. That's so good to hear. You can rejoice and you don't have to work so hard. You just rejoice, right? So rejoicing is so powerful. But right now we're just so trained in it. And as if jealousy has 3 disadvantages. One is it makes us feel miserable. Right? I mean, different to attachment and anger. Anger sometimes makes us feel, energetic and makes us feel good. Attachment also, it makes us worry and so forth, but when the attachment is not too strong, we may just enjoy. There's a certain degree of happiness there, can be. Jealousy is just painful. It is just painful. When the moment it arises, until it goes, it's painful. So one disadvantage. Second disadvantage, we have less joy. Right? We have less joy. I mean, so since we're unhappy, there's no space in the mind to actually be happy for the other person, which robs us of, not only does it give us suffering, it robs us of very beautiful joy. And thirdly, it paralyzes us, and therefore we won't be able to get the same result. So if we would actually deeply rejoice, we would be like, oh, I want to be like that, and have the openness and the energy. So otherwise, when we're jealous, it just becomes this like narrow-mindedness. I can't work hard because I'm so busy being jealous. Right? Yeah, depending on how strong the jealousy is. So then to rejoice. To rejoice is the best thing. Right? So you familiarize yourself. First you think about the advantages of rejoicing. Rejoicing is the opposite of jealousy. So because jealousy is a state of mind that focuses on something, a good quality or something another person possesses and feels unhappy about it. Now you just focus on that state and you feel happy for it. And the funny thing is, you can actually force it. You can actually force it. This is one of the things where you don't need that much reasoning, because sometimes your jealousy won't let you reason much. So you can just go, and the moment there's an unhappiness, you say, I'm so happy for them. I'm so happy for them. And then almost in that moment, the unhappiness has no space. You just need to say it. I'm so happy for them. It's the power of the mind. So you do it again and again, and you just generate, when you're not jealous, you focus on that person's success and say, how lovely, how wonderful. But actually, during the last course, there was a girl called Orit. Yeah, she had a great technique. Hers worked even better. She had a great jealousy. She had a great technique to overcome jealousy. She said what she imagines, she says, this person who is, whoever she's jealous of, and there's certain qualities usually, she said, I imagine they have cancer, they lose their home, they lose their car, the most horrific things happen to them. And then I'm thinking, well, at least they still have that good quality. And then I can really rejoice. So she imagines the most horrible things happen to them, which, we don't know, they may not. But by doing that, she then goes, oh, they have this great car, they have this great quality, they're really good at such and such. And then she feels that joy. And once you feel that joy, you get attached to that joy. Well, not even attached. You feel joyful to be joyful. Right? It's not even, you don't even get attached, but you see how nice it is. How much better you feel. And in the end, if by being jealous you would get that quality, that's a reason to be jealous. But you don't even get the quality, so might as well just rejoice in them. Because you don't get the quality, so if you feel happy about it, actually from a point of view of karma, you get the quality. From a karmic point of view, now this is a different matter, we haven't spoken of karma, but if you rejoice in someone's successes, it creates the causes to have it yourself. So if you believe in karma, you're even more convinced to rejoice. But even if you don't have a belief or an understanding of karma, so you can still just rejoice. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he taught me that this was possible, because one day during a puja in Dharamsala, he made everyone rejoice. During the puja, there was a prayer that talked about rejoicing, and he made everyone stop, and he said, let's now rejoice. feel really, really happy about all the good stuff that the Buddhas and those in training to become Buddhas, Bodhisattvas do. That's easy, right? Who's jealous of a Buddha, right? You rejoice in what the Dalai Lama does. Oh, it's easy. So as you're rejoicing, you feel so happy, right? You have already that state of mind. Then he says, rejoice for everyone in your own success. Okay, so you said rejoice. And then you take other people. So you're already in that rejoicing mode. And then suddenly, even something else you're not happy about, you can actually rejoice. And you're still alive. You survived that. You come out of it and you go, oh, that actually works much better. And then you can change. It's very beautiful. So if there is a feeling of jealousy, try to just rejoice. It's really interesting how the mind works. Another thing that's a little trick. Last year, I was in a situation when I was very stressed out. I had a lot of work to do and it was very stressful. Now, stress is not physical. Stress, it's like if it was physical, then an athlete would experience stress. Stress is mental, really, basically mental. So, can't finish this, have to do this. And we make ourselves, be stressed out. And as I was experiencing stress, someone told me about this experiment they did. I think it was done at Harvard, I'm not sure. Anyway, in some well-established university, they did this experiment. They took a group of people and they put them in stressful situations. One group they told, stress is really bad for you. Stress harms you, stress is bad for the body, stress is da-da-da-da-da. The other group they told, stress is very good for you. We've just found stress is very good for you. It actually makes your brain work better. Like how we usually look at stress and say it's really bad for us. But they told this group that stress was really good for them. So in the end, after however long they exposed them to stressful situations, the group who was stressed out, the group that was stressed out and they were told that it was negative, of course, as is to be expected, they felt very tired, they felt very exhausted, they could hardly get through the task that they were presented with. Whereas the other group, they were like thriving, full of energy, right? They couldn't get enough. They wanted to... Pardon?
Give me more.
Give me more, yeah, that's all, as a challenge to grow. So I thought, that's amazing. It's stress, right? I'm not talking about giving yourself a shot of heroin and going, it's good for me, it's good for me. No, this is physical. You're actually adding some chemical to your body. But this is merely mental, right? It's mental. And since that time, whenever I'm in a stressful situation, I tell myself, I'm not tired. I'm full of energy. I could do more of this. Myself just telling myself, right away that goes away. I can actually test it. I say, I feel really tired. And I feel a little bit more tired than before. Whereas if I tell myself, no, I'm actually full of energy. I could do more of this. I could do more of this. So the thing is, I don't do more of it. It's not like I then go on and don't sleep the next night and just party or something. I don't do that. But I'm less exhausted. So after this period of time I had there, it was in Tushita I taught, the year before I felt, so stressful. I had to sleep for 2 weeks after that. I was so exhausted. 2 weeks of teaching there. It's like all day long. And then afterwards, it took me at least 2 weeks to recover. I didn't sleep the whole time, but I felt like only after 2 weeks I got my energy back. This time, half a day. Half a day. I was over. And I kept saying, this is good for me. What's the next one? I hope there's another course coming. I just told myself. That's all I did. And I kept doing it because I believed in the power of this. So it was not like I'm fooling myself. I didn't think, I'm just fooling myself. And then said that to myself. I said, no. And I started believing in it. Half a day, and I was ready to face the next. So that is the power of the mind. We just need to recognize that. It's really just all in our own hands. So when you're jealous, you just tell yourself, this is so great. I want that. And I've looked at jealousy, like you said before. Jealousy is not me. Jealousy is like a state of mind. What's the name of that thing from the Lord of the Ring? What's his name? Not the Golem. I think of my jealousy as Golem, right? He talks in a funny way, I can't do that, but like, I want that. So then I'm just going, no, I like this. And then I make him disappear. It's just this one state of mind you artificially create, but it's another state of mind that goes against it. It's that easy. The problem sometimes we believe that this golem is so strong. We believe it's so strong. We believe in its strength. And we make it strong in that way. We give those states of mind. We create them. They're created. They just pop up. And because we believe in their strength, we make them stronger. We may repress them. We make them stronger. Oh no. What's his name again? Golem? Golem. Golem. Oh, Golem is there. Golem is... Okay, Golem. Never mind. You know, like he's skinny and ugly and kind of like that, right? So you just go, no. I'm so happy for that person. I'm so happy for them. And then it disappears. It's just a matter of, it's that easy. Trust me. I mean, you just need to believe in the strength of your own mind. And you can do it. I mean, there's so much the mind can do. So sometimes it's just telling yourself. When you're really stressed out, you're saying, no, this is wonderful. This is such a challenge. I'm so lucky. Right? Just tell yourself, I'm so lucky. I'm so fortunate to be stressed out. Oh my God, what a challenge. Right? And just saying this, you can see the difference. Or you tell yourself, oh, this is horrible. And that's it. When you meet a person who presses all your buttons, instead of going, oh, I wish I wasn't with that person. So, I'm so lucky to be with such a horrible person. I'm so lucky. What a great opportunity for me to practice patience, to see my limitations. Don't even say horrible person, it's not good. I'm so lucky to be with such a challenging person. It's even internally, the language you use has, if you watch your own mind, it has an influence. So seriously, I believe this is, and this is something to familiarize yourself with. This is what I'm trying to say here. So sometimes you don't want objective meditation. You can of course go, what is the benefit of jealousy, the disadvantage of jealousy, what is the benefit of rejoicing, but you don't really rejoice. It's very hard to then make it do. Sometimes you do that to some degree, you need to do this to some degree, but then you just make yourself rejoice. Make yourself, and if you do it like Orit did, wonderful. You imagine that person has cancer and so forth, that still works.
But this is not good.
What is not good?
To imagine if someone has cancer or something like that.
No, but they don't have cancer, and you don't feel happy about it. Rather, you feel compassion.
Ah, okay.
You in order to, oh my God, I mean, they have cancer, how terrible. And we don't know, maybe they do. We don't know. I don't know whether I have cancer or anyone else has, right? No one is safe from cancer. We don't know. But it's just for the sake of, it's not like I wish they had. It's like, if they had, oh my God, how terrible. So they have that quality? Wonderful. Yeah. Yes?
I heard in Ikhram today these two techniques. And usually I use a third one.
Yes, please.
Which I always thought it's the realistic one.
Okay, which one is that?
I mean, when I see someone who's rich, I know, I think, but I know for sure that he's still in samsara and he has problems.
Yes.
This is ridiculous to be jealous.
Okay.
I mean, you're only jealous, I tell myself, because you don't know him. Once you get from far, he looks happy, movie star. He's going every day to the psychiatrist. He's suffering. I know that because he's in samsara. So I really behave like that. It's silly to be jealous.
Yeah, but that's more advanced what you're doing. Understanding that everyone is in samsara, right?
No,
I mean, that's
just
already...
get to know him.
Yeah.
If you talk to him,
Yes.
you'll see.
But, okay, let me give you another example. You know someone like who is like a great practitioner. You meet someone who's a great practitioner, who's already more advanced, and there's jealousy, so they're already a little bit further out of samsara. What do you do then? They're still in samsara, but not as bad as me.
Then I remember that my teacher told me, be gentle with yourself.
Yeah, okay. So
sorry.
Okay. So there are situations where, especially from a dharma point of view, which is bizarre. I mean, to be jealous of someone who is actually already, it's actually harder, to tell you the truth. So we are much better at being jealous with worldly things. It's much harder, you know, when you meet someone who's actually practicing really well. You can't help it. But if it still happens, then in that moment. I mean, yes, so they're still in samsara to some degree. It's true. So if you can really, that's the most realistic.
I don't think this is difficult.
Yeah, please.
But then when you see someone that is a good practitioner,
Yes.
and that you have inspiration, which is something like a cousin to jealousy, but it's much more healthy and
Yeah.
actually it's a driving force.
Exactly.
Getting there.
That's
So-
very different. That's very admirable, this one. A very good quality, yes.
So the question, how can you transform jealousy
Jealousy
into
to-
inspiration?
Jealousy into aspiration. Well, quite easily.
Really?
Quite easily. Because, you see, if someone is moving towards enlightenment, that means they're moving you towards enlightenment. Because the whole thing is, if you move closer to Buddhahood, right? You move closer to Buddhahood. You move closer to the incredible wish to take everyone else there. So if you become a Buddha, that's very good for me. That's very good for me. It's a bit like you feel happy, you have a disease, let's say I have cancer, and there's this guy who has the ambition to become a person who cures all cancers. And they have the potential to do so. You know they have the potential. Oh, I'm definitely going to support that person because I have cancer and I want this person to cure me. So in a way, that's why it's, in another way, you could think like, well, the moment, see this person, when you spiritually enhance, you care for others enhances and you work much more for the benefit of others. And that's in my interest, right? That's in my interest. Now, if you, for example, what happens when you study, for example, when you study philosophy, you may also, there is a kind of competitiveness that is created on the debate ground. And usually there's a saying, no, I use that, but it's really true. What happens on the debate ground stays on the debate ground. You know, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, that kind of idea. That's the idea. So on the debate ground, you can be kind of competitive, but there's no kind of dislike for the other person. You just like, you're not going to, you know, admit any kind of, like even the monks, they're great at that. They pretend to be like, it's almost like a, you're not kind of humble and like meek. No. You need to pretend you're totally sure about your point. It's all the whole psychology, yeah. You know? So then the other person's like, ooh, it's all pretending.
It's like a game.
It's a bit like a game. It's like psychology, like on the debate ground, basically. So it's true. Because then, when you have that fake self-confidence, suddenly your mind works faster. It's the adrenaline or whatever. Your mind works differently. And suddenly you understand a point and you can take it further. And that benefits the other person. And that spurs them on. They pretend the same thing. And they suddenly say something very clever. And again, you need to, you know, so your mind goes into levels of understanding that usually you wouldn't go on your own. So, but it does happen that there's jealousy. So it happens that you think, oh, this person is so much better, and in the debate it's better. It happens. But then it's easy, because that person makes sure that Buddhism continues. And I personally, I want, when I die, and if there is rebirth, I don't know, but if there is, I want to meet Buddhism again. It's really helped me. Me personally, it's helped me. So I wish Buddhism is still around when I'm born, when I be reborn again, if I'm reborn. And so this person is responsible because of their understanding, and they work towards basically everyone who practices Buddhism makes sure it stays around. They preserve it in a way. So if someone preserves it, that's good for me. So really I understand that someone who practices Buddhism and they're very good at it, oh my God, they make sure that it's still around, and I want it to be around. If I'm reborn again, if I'm not reborn, never mind, you know. But if I am, then I want Buddhism to be around. So even in that case, so even though they may not use it in a spiritual way, maybe they just use it academically, which is also possible. It's not easy to apply it, but even that, it helps me. It helps me. So with regard to the jealousy of the neighbor who has a big car, okay, his big car doesn't help me. But then, of course, Leora's idea works very well. Well, he's got a big car, so what? Who's happier with a big car, right? And then, of course, also just being good in your study doesn't mean you're a happier person unless you apply it. On top of that, you could take Urit's kind of imagine, if you can't really think that they have suffering, well, imagine suffering. But in the end, it benefits us. When it comes to Buddhism, it benefits us. Right? So I think along those lines, it actually helps me. So therefore, sometimes it happens that, you know, in a situation someone is very good at their study and they don't share a book that they have. That is, you can't, if you do that, if you don't, you're stopping yourself. Because if you don't give them the material that you have, you're not generous with everything you have, well, you make sure that it remains. And then in the future, it becomes accessible to you. So understanding that from a Buddhist point of view, again, it doesn't make sense to be jealous. To be jealous of these qualities. But jealousy, we need to understand the Western world is built on that. I think it was Freud's grandson. I don't forget who it was, who got into the advertising industry, and right, and he understood the sense of an I. They built the sense of an I, like you against the rest of the world. You have to compete. So the sense of competition and so forth, it was purposely developed because competitiveness, of course, makes people work harder. Right? That's why communism didn't work. Like in East Germany, people didn't work as hard because they didn't get any personal, it was like for everyone. And unless you have great compassion, then that's difficult. So I'm just saying, I'm just trying to make this practical, this idea of objective and subjective meditation. So when you feel jealousy, you generate subjective meditation by just rejoicing. It's meditation. It's a type of familiarity.
It doesn't always help.
No, it doesn't always help.
I'm still jealous of people that have lots of money. I would like to have part of it. And I don't bother about the defaults or
no, Netta, all you need to do, look, when jealousy arises, think of Golem, right? Think of Golem.
Golem.
Never say that. How do you spell it? Golem. Okay.
It's God.
Golem. Okay. So you think of Golem and just generate. What's the name of the guy with the long beard? Gandalf. You generate Gandalf, the one that rejoices. No, you just force yourself in that moment. You see, just in that moment, I'm just rejoicing. No, I'm rejoicing. It's almost like you have this opposing force there. Don't allow it to go wild. You oppose it by just thinking, no, I'm happy. I mean, I force myself in that moment. Sounds bizarre. Usually you don't force yourself, but in that case it works. The moment I feel a little bit of dislike, and I go, no, this is so great. I tell myself, and then slowly I start believing it. It grows stronger. I don't know how else to explain it. So Netta, all I want you just to say, all I want you to do is, next time you feel it, you just go, oh, Golem is here. Hi, Golem. Jealousy is here. Okay, never mind, wait a second. I'm so happy for this person. May they have even trillion times more of what they have.
Never.
You don't think so? You just tell yourself again and again and again? Alright, interesting. I need to think of something
We have
else.
so many powerful and rich people in our country that control us in all ways of economic.
But you're not jealous of them.
I not rejoice for them.
No.
Just
you can be
not
sad.
rejoicing in the. You don't rejoice in the control. You rejoice in the wealth. That's it. What you're jealous of. You're not jealous of their controlling, manipulative kind of nature, right? You're not jealous of that. Who wants to be like that?
Not jealous.
You're angry.
Sad.
But
Both.
Netta, what I do in such a case, if I'm jealous, or a friend of mine, that's what I say. You can't choose. Would you like to exchange the whole package?
Mm-hmm.
No.
This
This is
no.
part of it.
Well,
Ah.
all of us here. We're here. We have enough money. We have enough health to be here. We're okay. Why do I need to look at something that I miss? And also, I also want more money. I know that it will not make me happy. There were times, personally, that I was a lot richer. I wasn't happier. I know that I still want money.
I'll call
I
you.
have to work for it.
You want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say that it's it can be, I don't know what are the psychological conditions for this really to work. This is what really interests me, because to say that, for example, there are passive aggressive people who are on the outside, they're like smiling, but they're not, they can tell themselves, yes, I'm very nice. It's not something that you can simply
Force.
put as a tape.
Yeah.
So when you say force, I believe there is something preliminary is being done on a psychological level that this can work really.
Yes, okay. Let me just maybe rephrase it. Okay, I'll give you another example. First of all, I said previously, you need to think that you want to rejoice. You need to see the benefit in that. To some degree, you need to think, okay, jealousy sucks, rejoicing is nice, right? That needs to be that understanding. I'll give you another example. It's a bit like doing yoga, when I do yoga, okay? First it's like, yeah, I want to do yoga. I'll start tomorrow. I've said that for a long time now. But I see the benefits. I've understood. Now, the first time I do it, I really need to force myself. It's not like, yoga time! It's like, oh, there's that mat. It's still rolled together. This is my situation right now, actually. I'm just starting. And I really need to force myself. I don't want to do it. So I'm just like, never mind. I'm going to get changed now, and I'll do it now. And then I start. And then I start feeling good. Afterwards, I feel really good. So that's the reward. And later on, I hope one day, it'll be like, yoga time. But initially, I force it. You see, like, I don't want to do it. I just do it because I understood the benefits. It's a bit like that. It's a bit like that with the rejoicing. So it's like, I've seen how it's benefit, so I'm just going to go, never mind, I'll just rejoice now. Get that yoga mat out, I'm just going to start now. No discussion. Right? And afterwards I feel better. I feel better. If I rejoice for 20 minutes, I mean, I can do this meditation with you now, make you just rejoice. And when Lama's room, she did that. We did it for 20 minutes. And I was curious. I felt really happy. And so I was curious how everyone else felt. So I looked around. And people were like, it was like a group of like 100 people, and everyone at least looked very much like. So I think they all did it, and afterwards you feel better. You feel better. It's a bit like yoga.
You're talking about the power of habit.
The power of habit, exactly. So the power of habit, that's exactly it. The power of habit, but first you have to make it a habit. That's what's difficult. And then you force yourself, as I just described my yoga practice. Mickey, you had it?
Yeah, because there's this old saying, fake it until you make it.
Oh, very good. Fake it until you make it. Very good.
In many Western civilizations, fake it until you make it.
Very good.
So it's the question of habit. And also, I think that it's not looking at my emotions as something else but skill.
Right.
It's not something that is stuck to me, or I have to have these emotions.
Yes.
But I can choose an emotion and make it a skill.
Yes. Very true.
So, but it's really difficult to change the mind. I feel to change the mindset from I empathize with what I feel, this is who I am, to change that into what skill do I have to have?
Yes, yes, yes.
As far as my emotions.
Right. Yes, it's true.
It's not easy.
It's not easy, but sometimes I believe thinking it is not easy can be another problem.
True.
Right? So it's almost like it is easy. I love yoga. Sorry, you had a question.
Yeah, I think also the issue of jealousy, going back to the point where I see the jealousy and I decide to do it. This is the exercise. I think it's really very much related to self-esteem, and I think that maybe the starting point would be I'm a good person, as saying I'm a good person, because it's very much
that's true. That's very important. Actually, you're right. That's what I said. The Buddhist practice is gentleness. We have to be gentle with ourselves. What does it mean to be gentle with ourselves? First, to be accepting of who we are. The way I am right now is fine. Room for improvement? Of course. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely. But we beat ourselves up first. We have such a low self-esteem. And you know where the self-esteem comes from? It sounds terrible. But we have a sense, I'm more important than others. There's a sense that I have that feeling. My low self-esteem, I'll just talk of myself and see whether it's true for yourself. I'm a little bit more important than you guys. You fail? Okay. I fail? No way. I am to succeed in everything. You see, like there's this sense, we are so hard on ourselves because we don't forgive ourselves our own failure. Because there's a sense, my failure is worse. Why? Why can I not fail? So you see, it's not saying that we are like selfish people or anything. Let me just say something, this comes a little later, but then we don't need to speak about it once we get there. There is this strong sense of a separate self. We have a sense of a separate kind of entity self. That in itself is not a problem, actually. we take our different experiences, the different awarenesses, the different sensations in the body, and somehow we clamp them together, we put them together and think, oh, there's an I that experiences those. They're just different experiences and they do their own thing, but we have a sense there's a separate I that controls the whole thing. It's like, if you just think of your body, 50 trillion cells, do you think there's a boss cell? Is there some kind of control cell? No, there are 50 trillion cells that work very harmoniously with one another. Well, if there's cancer and so forth, there's no more harmony and eventually we die. But in general, as long as we're alive, there's relative harmony there. Do we need a self or a control center? No, we don't. Likewise, we have 84,000 different afflictions. Mentally, they say 84. No, I'm just saying so many different awarenesses that pop up, they're there. Sometimes there are many together. Then there's just one, or at least, well, there's 6. Sometimes there's different awarenesses, different experiencing entities. There's Golem, there's Ganda. There's different ones. They come and they're not identical. They're just different ones. And do they need a self that controls them? No, they don't. They're just there, and that's what we are, different awarenesses. But we think there's a self. Now that's not the problem, as I just said. There's no controller, but we believe in it very strongly. Very deep sense of a self there. That's not the problem, like I said. But then there's a sense, okay, so there's this I here, all these experiences and sensations. There must be an I, and that must be true for you too. I believe in your separate self too. But you are over there, I'm here. I'm more precious. That's the next thought. I'm more important. That leads, the sense of a separate self leads then to the thought, but this is more important. This is more important. This is here. You are over there. I have the sensations here, not your sensations. So therefore this is more important. And then from there on, I go to think, my happiness is more important. My well-being is more important. And it takes it to the degree, my success is more important. And my failure is worse. You see? So it's not that we're bad people, not at all. But we have that misperception. We have a basic misperception. And the stronger that sense, the stronger the sense I need to be perfect. And then we hate ourselves when we're not. Right? So we need to learn, first of all, it's okay to accept ourselves for who we are, to rejoice in whatever good qualities we have. And there's so much good. If I had everyone, we stayed together for a month, and everyone had to say something positive about each person in this room, I don't think we have a problem here. And there'd be probably very different things, a whole list of things, very different, right? So many good qualities. But our low self-esteem, what it does is it focuses on more negativity, makes it much bigger than it is, and it seems like that's me. Okay, it blows up. That's not realistic. There's so many good and bad things. So to focus on the good one and know the bad is just... So that's what it starts. You're right. This is our main problem initially. Yeah. So to first be gentle, be accepting, and then take it from there. And then that gives you determination. Just to say, it gives you self-confidence. It's like, I can do anything. The sky is the limit. I have these great qualities, and the negative ones I can change. They're changeable. Right? And it gives you the strength of mind. I can do anything. And then you go like, oh, jealousy's there? All right, let's have fun. Rejoicing, I'm so happy. It's everything is like a game. It's almost like it's not serious any longer because it's just fun, right? And you enjoy doing it. So to find gentleness and to find the fun in everything. And this is what we call enthusiasm. One quality in Buddhism is very important is called the quality of effort, making an effort. But actually it means joyous effort. To find joy. To find joy in your own mind and who you are, and find joy in making changes. Right? You can't force it. That's why they say when you start meditating, meditate only for 5 minutes initially. Don't do longer than 5 minutes. Because if you do it for too long, next time you see the meditation cushion, you want to throw up. So don't do it. Don't ever let it come to that. Always make sure it's joyful. So that's the first thing to find. First, see yourself as you are and start really liking yourself. Oh my God, I'm good the way I am. Maybe too big here, too fat here, to do this, bum too big, whatever, you know. We have all these, this sacks, this is the, you know, this endless. So that's mentally. Physically, okay, I'm good the way I am, that's beautiful, never mind. And then mentally, I'm wonderful. I am the way I am, okay. But there's room for improvement. There's some negative things, and then you generate joy. Joy is very, very important.